Today I'll be looking at this new, for me, Epiphone Les Paul. I went from having a custom shop Les Paul 58 recently, and before that I had a custom shop 60s reissue. They found new owners, and I'm not quite sure why I did that. I think I felt they were a bit too expensive to have hanging mostly on the wall, not being used. But I've decided that I want to have a Les Paul in my toolbox of guitars. And I recently also had a project, the Goldtop Les Paul, that turned out to be too hard for me to get right. So I've been thinking, and I ended up with this one. It looks very good, I think. It's just to my taste. The burst on this, is it called a burst? When it's this tone, I guess it is. I don't know what kind, tobacco burst, or no, probably not. That's supposed to have some black. I'm not sure what kind of burst it is, you tell me. But anyway, I would like to know if this low budget Les Paul will serve me as well as my custom shops did. So this Epiphone is made in Korea, and you can tell by the serial number that starts with an S. I've learned that that is the way to tell that it's a Korean-made Epiphone. So I would like to look at the pros and cons for having this Epiphone now. The pros for me on this guitar is the playability. The neck is kind of a 60s neck. It's very comfy to play, and it has a tapered feel. It's more narrow down here and thinner than up here. The action is great. The frets are nice and smooth. I like the height of them also. They seem to be in good condition. As I said, I like the finish a lot. I like the way it looks. That's a clear pro for me. It seems that the tuning stability is good. I haven't really experienced it a lot, so I will have to play it more to really tell if it will hold tuning good. I think the hardware on the guitar is decent. It's chrome parts for the stop tail here and the bridge. That's not my favorite. I would rather see them to be nickel and of course a bit aged, if you know me. And also the covers on the pickups are chrome, so I would probably see to that these changed into a more nickel aged kind of look. So the volume pots and the tone pots, they are smooth and nice. There's no electronic crackling or grounding issues. So in that regard, they are okay. I'll come back to that in a while. So I think that is the pros. The cons for me are not much to mention because this guitar plays and sounds good. As I am a bit picky on my tone, I find there is room for improvement in that department, and the pickups are the first that I will tend to. They are okay, but I think they lack a bit of clarity. I have a set of classic 57s here that I will try and see if they could add some mojo to the guitar. And the electronics in the guitar, the pots, you can have a look at it here. They are the small type. I'm not sure if that has a very big impact on tone, if it's the size of the pots. I see that the wiring here is probably not 50s wiring, and you can also tell when I turn down the volume, it goes a bit darker. So I think I would like to change it to 50s wiring to have it keep the treble when I roll down the volume. The jack here is a bit loose, and you can hear that. So I need to tend to that. Probably won't have to replace it, but I will just see what's going on in there. And I guess that the clamp on the tip is a bit loose, or maybe there is a bad connection or something. But as it is already loose, I will see what I can do. Might replace it. Okay, so I'll play it now so you can hear how it is stock, and then I'll go and replace the pickups and the wiring. Let's start with the things that I've attended to now. So the tuners, let's have a look at those. So the machines themselves are fine, but the bushings here seems to be a bit too wide. So if I loosen the screws, they will wiggle inside the bushing. And that has led to that some of them had come loose, and the grooves for the screws had been dissolved, so the screws couldn't fasten properly. And so they were a bit loose. So I solved that in the pragmatic way that I often do, but I didn't have proper wood here, so I used some wood from some matches and very good wood glue. So that in combination down in the holes made a hard surface that bonds well with the wood in the guitar, and now they sit firm and well. But I think I will have to get some bushing that will fit these thinner posts, because this will be a problem later on if I don't tend to it. So if they are loose like that, over time they will start to move and create problems. But these tuners are fine, and as you can see now when I play the chords now, still perfectly in tune. So that's beautiful. And the action is fine, the nut is perfectly adjusted. So I changed the stop tail, and that is one I had left from my former project. It's a nickel one, and I think it looks better with this guitar, at least now with the humbuckers that I also replaced. So these have nickel covers or matted down covers. I replaced the pickups for the 57s that I had, classic 57s. They are not original Gibsons. I found them on eBay a long time ago, so I'm not sure what kind of brand it is. Yeah, I replaced the switch. I had replaced it for my Gibson switch that I had for my last project. Comes originally from my red ES335. And as you can see here, the wiring that was on the switch originally was quite a mess. And I just ripped out all of that, ripped out the pot meters here, which was also had a bit of a strange wiring, so I just got rid of it and put in the harness that I had from my former project. These pots are also the small kind, and I will probably replace them down the line. The only thing still left original here is the bridge, and that is the Epiphone bridge. So my other one that was in nickel didn't fit the posts, so I didn't bother to change it. It looks okay and it works very good. I love the finish on the guitar. It's probably poly, but it looks to be a very thin poly, if there's such a thing. If I should compare this to the Les Pauls that I've had over the years, I could start with the first one I had, and was a Swede, a Hagström, or you might say Hagstrom. That was a really nice guitar. It was from the 80s, so the original Swedish factory. like that guitar. I ended up selling that, but regret it now, of course. Anyways, I would prefer this one to the Hagstrøm. It's more lightweight, and the playing comfort is better. I even think the tones from this now is better than the Hagstrom was, although it's many years ago since I had that. But I would say so. And then I got some made in Japan ones. I had Greco. I had a couple of Grecos. They are known to be good quality guitars, although they differ in quality. There are low level budget guitars, and they are the higher kind of musicians or artists models. I think I had one in between there somewhere. Were also very lightweight, but I felt that the build quality of the ones I had, they can't compare to this. This is much more solid and feels more high quality. More recently I had a Heerby, also made in Japan, and you can see some footage of that here. That was a really great guitar, but still I find the build quality of this to be better. Not much, because that was a good guitar, but when I still had that guitar, I bought a Gibson Custom Shop RO 60s reissue. I ended up selling it. As it was a custom shop and quite costly, I might have had too high expectations. So compared to my Heerby that I had at the time, I didn't find it justified to pay that much with not that much of a difference. So I sold it, and some years later I bought a 58 reissue, an R8. I have this beauty of a guitar. It's a Gibson Les Paul custom shop. It's 58 reissue, R8 as they are called. Just look at this magnificent color. It's, I think it's so beautiful. But also comparing that to the former Les Pauls that I had, there wasn't that much of a difference. It was really good, and I could recognize there was high quality. But to justify the price for that guitar, and really I didn't play it that much. It was spent a lot of time on the wall here or in the case. So I felt like I just couldn't justify having it. But then I thought I should try to build one from parts or see what I can find on the market. And I ended up with this Goldtop project that I recently had. And if you followed my channel, you've seen the frustrations I had with that one. So I got rid of that, and from there now I thought, let's see if I can find an Epiphone. I would like to have a Les Paul in my toolbox. If there is one on the used market that appeals to me, let's get one. And then after not too much searching, this one appeared on the second-hand market, and I immediately fell for the looks for it, and I thought, yeah, it's a tenth of the price that I paid for my custom shop, and it looks good, and it's also a Korean model, so they are known to have better quality, at least in some forum posts I've seen. They claim that the Korean ones are a bit higher quality. I'm not sure. Anyways, I got it. And from there, you know the rest of the story. I'm of course a bit biased towards liking this guitar now as I just got it. I love the lightweight of this guitar and the playability. When you get a guitar that has perfect action and it keeps in tune and there's a good tone in it, what more can you wish for? And it even looks good. I think it's a beauty. And if you don't mind that it doesn't say Gibson on the headstock. I used to be quite obsessed with that it should say Gibson there for me to feel good about it, but that's just stupid. And now I really like that it says Epiphone. If you look good, it says Gibson on that small truss rod cover here. So it's probably a proper truss rod cover, because I've seen that on those models on the web also, so I guess that's supposed to be there. It's Epiphone by Gibson, isn't it? So if you wonder about getting an Epiphone, and if you can find one that has this S serial number made in Korea, get one. There's not much to think about. This one is at least extremely good. I love it. All right, I'll just sit here and play for a while. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.